It's back.
Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes with Eddie Nesta and friends. New time, Sundays, 12 o'clock. The lockdown edition. The lockdown edition.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best. The best in the UK. The best. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best. The best.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
The lockdown edition. The lockdown edition.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
It's back.
Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes with Eddie Nesta and friends. New time, Sundays, 12 o'clock. The lockdown edition. The lockdown edition.
Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best. The best. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best. The best. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best. The best.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Boss Ladies Vegan Kitchen. Hope you're well and staying safe. This week I'm going to show you how to make nut milk.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
The lockdown edition. The lockdown edition.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
It's back.
Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes with Eddie Nesta and friends. New time, Sundays, 12 o'clock. The lockdown edition. The lockdown edition.
Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best. The best. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best. The best. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best. The best in the UK. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best. The best.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
The lockdown edition. The lockdown edition.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
It's back.
Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes with Eddie Nesta and friends.
Balancing
New time,
game.
Sundays, 12
Look,
o'clock.
come on, man. You can
Lockdown
look,
edition.
a balancing game you can easily do, please. I'll never ask you to do a video ever again, please. Come on. Come on! Sean, look at the camera. I need your elbows in, hands up like this. Bottles, look. Can you balance this in a way a ton? So, all you've got to do is balance a plate. Right, so this plate has some cream on the plate. You have to balance that and you get nervous. Just don't get too nervous.
This one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
The lockdown edition. The lockdown edition.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
It's back.
Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes with Eddie Nesta and friends. New time, Sundays, 12 o'clock. The lockdown edition. The lockdown edition.
Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best. Sicker than your average
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this one is top class. Eddie Nesta, I told you he's the best. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach a level, but this
Sorry. Trying to get this. Oops. Sorry. Apologies. Greetings. How are you? I've put on my sexy shirt today because I know we're going to be talking about Lovers Rock and all that. So I wanted to show you how bad a man used to bust a little flower shirt back in the day. Greetings, welcome. It's the final one. Yeah. Parting is such sweet sorrow. At the final of the 4 that we decided to put on as a kind of emergency measure. Now we're out of the lockdown into tier 2. Well, out of the lockdown into another kind of lockdown. Certainly, we'll talk about it because I'd like to continue, but I guess it's up to you. I guess right, that everything. I hate it. I feel like we're back to this place again, but I'd love to do it. I'd absolutely love to carry it on. And we've got a guest on today that just blows my mind. Actually, that she would come on to deal with one of the biggest untalked about problems concerning not exclusively black women, but black women experience it in a way that's just unbelievable, particularly if you're over 50. I'm told that 69% of our audience is female. And because Curtis is on here, lots of you are old. So, Curtis? I didn't mean old. I meant mature.
Mature.
Sorry.
Intelligent. Vibrant.
Articulate. Yeah? Yes.
Articulate.
Yes. Silver surface. I can get myself in trouble all the time, can't I?
Good afternoon, Mr. Nestor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Kurt. How are you?
Let's start like decent people. It is Sunday. I've just finished my online church service, so give me a moment to catch up with your wickedness.
Did you ever go to church? Was that part of your kind of thing?
Of course, yes, Eddie. I went to church. I still go every now and again when we're allowed to. Tier 2, so we can go church.
See, you're asking. That's, ladies and gentlemen, that's a question. That's not a statement.
No, we were online this morning, so my mother and myself and were discussing. I hope we can go next Sunday.
My mum's online every single week, so we have to bargain for the Wi-Fi because she's downstairs. How great thou art.
When they're singing, but it's so spiritually uplifting, but hilarious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How great thou art. I am a warrior, a Christian warrior. With my Bible in my hand, yes, I am a warrior.
Sing it out, my brother. Sing it out. Get the devil out of you for one moment in one day.
Years now. Yeah. For years. I've been trying to help you with that.
Isn't it? Well, our guest, we couldn't find her, could we, Kurt? We were looking for her. Let's tell everybody, we have a little get together. We'll have a little, make sure everybody hold hands, kumbaya, my Lord. And we couldn't find her. And we get to find out she never slept at home last night.
Which was shocking to me. Yeah. She said, I'll be home in a little while. Where were you?
You're liars. I was at the farmer's market.
Oh, is that what they call it?
What's with the other side of your face?
I don't know why.
We want to look for the love bite then.
The other way, a bit more.
That's it.
There you go.
That's it.
Looking beautiful this morning.
I know we're matching. Was you at my house last night? Is that what you're trying to say?
I told you I'd drop you home. You didn't want the lift home.
Hold on, why do I look off again?
Hey, we've got an esteemed guest coming on later on who's watching us now. We'll have you on your best behavior, please. Welcome, everybody at home.
Thank you for having me.
This is Donna Spence, who's come back, I think now for the 3rd time, Donna?
It's my 3rd time. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming back. Thank you for accepting the I still want you to go a little bit more that way, though. You like
this way?
Yeah, there you are.
No, that's not, is it?
No, it isn't.
No, the way you move. All right.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's as good as we're going to get it, which is, of course, what the actress said to the bishop. So, look, let's call it out, right? This is lockdown, no joke. This is the 4th in an emergency one, really. We just thought, well, we're in lockdown. This is the show for us as much as anyone else. Curtis and I can pretend that we're doing this for everybody else, but this is...
I tell you, it's helping me through. No word of a lie. This is helping me, man.
Honestly, an opportunity to speak freely, maybe to bring you some news perspective.
Yeah.
from our angle, and to share the love, right? So as I say, we'd love to come back, we'd love to continue it, we'd love to go on, but that's up to the people watching at home, and we'll talk about that later, because I think we need to get into this now, right? So if you've joining us for the first time, I know there's some people watching for the first time. Please, the comments are there. Feel free, if you're watching on Facebook, to get involved. YouTube, you can watch it again. You can argue about it with your friends. You can take out lawsuits against Curtis, but he has no money, so it doesn't make any sense. Where we try to speak as freely as we can. So let me just tell you what's on the agenda today. We'll be scrutinizing, analyzing, and probably criticizing the Small Axe episode, which was Lovers Rock, directed by the Oscar winner Steve McQueen. We'll also be talking about our favorite Lovers Rock songs. We'll also be having Susie L. Neal. Just so honored to be able to have her in here. And we're talking about fibroids. We'll also be talking about that flight, the deportation flight, which is going next Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have some your favorite adverts, seeing as black people are allowed to be in adverts now. What is your and it doesn't have to be with black people, but what is your favorite advert? So pack show, let's get on with it then, shall we? Well, I've got to say, look, let's start with this, right? Because in and amongst all the stuff, you would never have realized we were in the middle of a global pandemic where 1.3 million people had died, where millions of people were on furlough, where people weren't allowed to see their granny. You couldn't go for a drink in the pub because the world lost its mind. Our world lost its mind at 9 p.m. last Sunday. This is just part of the reaction to a song that seemed to last for most of the episode.
When I saw that, I tell you,
No matter how many times I see it, it just makes me laugh.
Never gets tired, does it?
Funny.
Every time I see it, I laugh. It's so bad because the song is so. I love the song, but they put me off it last week. I was like, mash up the record. You just got on my nerves.
Okay. So, it was, as I say, directed by the BAFTA and Oscar award-winning Steve McQueen. Here is Steve McQueen talking a little bit about what, how, and why.
So I used to sort of witness it as a situation of hearing about it, but also I went to One Blues one time because I had to go, they come out, and somehow I was a scapegoat for her. So she brought me somewhere. She couldn't go to Blues, but I remember sort of being put in a bed with all these coats on top of me, and me creeping out and looking and whatnot, seeing how people would get on.
I went to one.
I mean, I am tempted to say that's a party and not a blues. But, yes, wait a minute. But then one of us went viral this week again for the second time in all of this Donna, because Donna lost her mind. I'm not going to play the whole thing, Donna, but I'm going to play a little bit to see what Donna Spence, speaking freely in her house, thought of Lovers Rock.
Who go to toilet and sit down on the toilet seat? Really? Really? No, we don't. We don't sit down on people's toilet seat. You squat. We don't sit down on people's toilet seat. That's just foolishness. And after the rave, my girl's going back to the man's workplace. Go to your yard. We're going to our yard. We don't want no materials out of road them time there. Kissing up outside bus stop. And the bus is waiting for you. And the bus is waiting for you. I don't know. There's so many things. I don't know where to begin. I don't know. My friend leaving me. My friend gone off and left me in the rave. Me won. And don't say nothing to me. It's not happening. It's not happening. Where's the dancing around the handbag? Well, I don't get it. I'm confused. There's just so much. I don't know where to begin. I don't know. But Steve McQueen, I beg you do. Apologise. Because you know what? The way that dancing and thing was carrying on.
We had to just cut her off. There was no pause. There was no breath, so we just had to cut her off.
I know. I had to think before I done it as well. I was like, no, don't do this, Donna, because you don't want to sell out your people. You're like, no. And then I was like, I can't. If I'd known it's gone viral, I'd put on lipstick.
Let's see if we can break it down. Let's start with you, Donna, because you've done it. It's been widely shared. I've received it in many, many groups that I'm a part of. What was it about the program that upset you so much?
It was, to me, it was like a lie. It was just I don't remember Lovers Rock like that. And the fact that you said Lovers Rock, it went from blues to shubeen. 12 tribes. Our men wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? Our men were loving. You're talking Lovers Rock. That means man know when they come through the door how they're going to be. Men were loving back then. They didn't just pinch your butt like that. They ask you for a dance. They were nice. And if another man disrespected you, our next brother was going to look out for you. I don't know where you went, Eddie. I did say maybe it's the race I went to. I don't know where you went to, but that's what I saw. A man did not disrespect like that. And then it was just so many things. The DJ, right? Look at the DJ.
Right, let's do one at a time. Let's do one at a time. Because I think this is the problem. They're actually calling it Lovers Rock. Menelik Shabazz did one, which a lot of the comedians were in, called Lovers Rock, which was a documentary which kind of articulated some of the time and some of the experience, right? And you saw a professor of the art of crubbing show you a little bit of what I could do.
You go,
them fast moving thing, their eyes, them swimming, them skateboarding. I don't know, but Curtis, you never touch a little bottom in a dance.
It was your girl's bottom, though.
Talking about something else,
Eddie. You would do it, but to the wall side of it. This is where it went wrong. And it's the little details, I think. And I think he was honest. He went to one dance, and it's like somebody's getting a little bit of information from two of their black friends. And they would tell a story, and he tried to link them all into one movie. Again, calling it Lovers Rock was a bad move, because it was the first time in years I had set my watch and said at 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
And it's the first time I've done that. And I think that's why people are, and I did it for Mangrove as well. But this is that time. And I think that's why people are so upset, because we were all so anticipating of this. And we lost, which is for me, is the humor, how much fun those dances were. And there were stories he's trying to tell in that narrative that just didn't work together. You know what I mean? That was not a dance any of us really went to, other than the scene of the girl climbing out the window in the early part. We thought, okay, it's a start.
But no, the stringing up was good, Kurt. The stringing up, the
but then what he missed there is those guys, them guys stringing up would have been told, all right, back off now. That's where it would have been, because I was that guy. I was the box boy. Box on wheels shocked me. The box was on wheels. What is it? You have to carry the boxes.
That's recent.
Right. And then when the real Salmon arrived, you were pushed. You move yourself. All that big brother doing the mic that was me, the big guy before anybody reached.
That's
I'm on the mic, innit? Me cool, me jumping down that swimming pool. Me cool, me jumping down that swimming pool. And then as the soundman arrived, put the mic down and go stand over there, sir.
That's
you were not lifting box, then playing the record. You were the don. So you walk, everything set up? All right, let me check the treble, let me check the beat. And you have to all go, you sound all right? Does it sound all right?
Yes.
So that's the narrative that was in there that we all kind of missed.
Much.
And the amount of patois. I don't remember speaking patois in them raves. It was a different generation, because that would have been a generation that just arrived. That son, that brother that you've got in Jamaica that you knew nothing about. When he or the sister arrived, they would be hard back. Whatever. But most of us was like, all right, mate, how's it going? Yes, man, we would mix it up a bit more. That's all I thought was struggling. People struggling with the accent.
All right, Curtis, hold on. Let me
I'm glad to see the people working. Let me just say that. Glad to see the people working. What you guys missed was coming down the stairs in the early scene was Dennis Bavel walking down the stairs.
And he was in the rain.
Produced the Janet K track. So there's a reason that track was the one being played. All right?
No, but
and I love the track. I love the
same
track.
here.
But my God.
Curtis, hold on now.
But
He's on a roll.
No, but I get it because I'm passionate. I'm with you. But the thing is, from what I understand, my understanding is with the music, they couldn't get what's the words? They couldn't get clearance, and that's why that kept playing. I assume because they couldn't get clearance. Because where was Warrior
Clearance
charged
from who?
Well,
me and Robbie.
People that is glad
it's
for it.
copyright.
Hold on a minute. Let me explain something to you. Maybe you don't know. For the last 10 years, me and Robbie G have hosted this thing called Giants of Lovers Rock. It's put together by a guy called Orlando Gittins. When you see some of them, right? Some of them, they would be glad for the change. Yeah. So it ain't like before
did you hear what
them,
I said? No, but did you hear what I said at first? I said I felt like it was a lie. That's what I said to you because from what my understanding is that they couldn't get it was copyright. Now my thing is like you just said. We know Orlando puts on the right.
Oh, that does make sense now because if you go back to 74, 75 when it all started with Louisa, I accept he is the godfather of lovers. Everybody would say that, right? But so much of it was like a lot of reggae at that time were soul records. And they did their version of a soul record. So even though You're Gone is Michael Jackson, you see what I mean? So many of them. So actually, one of the things that's helped, I suppose, Janet and Carol last longer is a lot of their stuff they wrote. So you could get. So that actually, I'll take that back. Sorry, Donna. You do get. Tell me about sitting on toilet seat.
You see all of that. First of all, there's a reason why women go to the toilet together because you always had them harbor shark man, them Lego beast man that was coming for you, right? So, so you always went toilet together. Okay, so she went to the toilet by herself. You gone into the toilet and she didn't even think. She just went wood up and sat on the toilet seat.
So you don't do that.
No, we're not even raised that way. You don't raise your children that way. You don't do that because other people's toilet, you know what, they're juju on you. You don't sit down on people's toilet seat. That is nasty. So you either get a whole heap of toilet paper and you put, honestly, if you must doodle, but you don't even doodle in people's houses. So that doesn't happen. It was wrong.
So when you go
and you're looking out the window. You squat. Yeah, you squat.
You stoop.
You squat, you do whatever, and you make sure you back up properly, so therefore nothing don't drop nowhere.
Right.
Come on,
what's gonna drop?
Shut up.
Curtis. We're about 10 minutes away from going to fibroids, or 5 minutes away. I want to come back and analyze taking off shirt, dancing on floor, wooden floor, because I don't know who had wooden floor in past. And I also want to deal with maybe the most pernicious part of it, which is the tailor and what he tried to do, and then how it almost carried on as though it was nothing. But I think the boss lady needs to come on because there are lots.
We need to see the boss lady.
There are lots and lots.
Where's the boss lady? Hey, Lisa.
Hey. Kings and queens, you okay?
I'm cool. How you doing?
You look so hydrated.
Might I just declare the boss lady is on day 3 of a 5-day water fast.
This is my dinner the last 3 days.
That's how we celebrated our anniversary with water.
Happy anniversary, guys. Sorry, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. 15
We're
years.
Still praying for you.
Released from prison by now.
15 years.
I said anniversary.
15 years.
I love it, really. Anyway, the messages. Thank you all for your messages. Keep them coming in. Lots of them about Lovers Rock. Many people unhappy. Lovers Rock was a weird one. No storyline or nothing. And playing silly games so many times was jarring. I thought the BBC had glitched. I thought that was a funny one.
That's funny.
Angela says the man went to One Blues and he's an expert, should have done his research better.
Thank you.
Pauline says it was disrespectful to that era and reinforced stereotypes.
Yeah.
Hot Lip says Lovers Rock and tribal dance is a different thing.
That's right.
Nikki Mitch says those in their mid-60s might disagree. However, my uncle remembers days like that. Angela says, to be honest, Steve couldn't tell the story as he didn't live it. Natasha says, yes, Steve definitely overpromised and undelivered. And Monica says, no plot, no storyline. I did drop sleep.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're looking for your favorite Lovers Rock songs in and amongst all of this. Before we get to what the main focus, I suppose, is of today, is to help a lot of women who are suffering in silence and are getting, let's say, information and medication and guidance that perhaps isn't culturally focused. So that's fibroids. So we're getting ready. Boss Lady, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Just
See you,
last thing,
Lisa.
don't forget to like, hashtag, and share, please. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You see, Steve McQueen's an interesting guy. Oscar winner, BAFTA winner, absolutely fabulous talent.
Yes.
Right? And I think the imagery he comes out with, I remember in 12 Years a Slave with the cotton, and I remember when the whip hit her back. I'd never ever seen anything like that in my entire life.
Yeah, right.
And I wonder, I want to put it to you, that it is the title that has led up, because once you watch Mangrove, and that's a documentary, something that happened in our lifetime, we were aware of it, but we'd never seen it like that. To be honest with you, if I was anywhere near it, you know, and I wasn't, but if I was anywhere near it, it would have been brilliant to do the New Crossfire of 1981, which would have been, he would have been able to do a lot of the stuff that he did within that. He could have done that, he did within that, but there would have been a historical, cultural narrative that we could draw on. So when I watched Mangrove, I thought, well, we can be showing that in schools in time to come to look how far we go. And the title, so our expectation. He knew what he was doing in that he's dealing with art. Here's one night at a party. So maybe it's to do with the way that it was communicated.
It's like everything, isn't it? It's about the research, because I don't agree with you have to have lived it to be able to direct it. I don't agree with that, because even with 12 Years a Slave, his wife gave him a book. He fell in love with the book and decided to make the film. Now, the story of Lovers Rock, if you don't know, then get to know, is my point. I don't know how much research was done on it, other than I think just talking to a few of his black friends that probably didn't go to it either. Somebody was saying, because it struggled for me generationally, in that it felt like it was my parents who had arrived, but yet they were telling the story of Lovers Rock, which was a decade later, or a decade later.
A generation later.
It felt a bit like, where are we in this story? What year are we in? And why are they all speaking patois? Why are they dancing on a wooden floor? All of those things felt a little bit jarring. And I just think it's about the research of the subject. And I think he struggled with that, for me, to tell a story. And even if it was going to be a love story, let it be a love story. How beautiful would that have been, to have a real love story running through as the narrative for the story, and just surrounded by the beautiful music of Lovers Rock? It just fell apart in so many different ways, and I can understand why somebody. But
is it, again, I'm sorry, is it not our expectation that was unreal? We have, listen, because we don't see ourselves in that way, we're now expecting this thing to be everything.
We are not zombies.
But you called it Lovers Rock,
like that on the floor. We do not carry on like that on the floor. I've never been to a party and someone's dancing like that on the floor. It made us look like.
Ever been to Shaka?
Yeah, but do you exactly? No, but that's not Lovers Rock, then, is it? That's how Shubin. That's my point.
Because it's called Lovers Rock. Sade did a song called Lovers Rock, Donna.
Listen.
You couldn't get a double press.
No. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, this is how it felt. It felt like you only got a little piece of money. Child, let's just dash it over there. It was rude. And make it worse, apparently his wife had said something like, "Oh, Lovers Rock has been around since 1940 to the 70s. Oh, what?
Wow.
Listen. Don't upset my
constitution. We can't do that because we don't know. We can make up anything. Just like we can make up anything.
I'm just saying.
Let's deal with what we saw, what we heard, and what we know. Because I don't.
Because Eddie just made up the fact that he's got a dance in a Lovers Rock fight. And I doubt Eddie ever got a dance in a Lovers fight. And he just lied and said how he used to dance. You know he was the one that every woman said no to. Thank you.
And this other thing.
With his pretty shirt as well.
Donna, you're wrong. the one.
I'm not wrong. You just don't understand.
Let me tell you what you're wrong about.
Go on.
I would have touched your elbow and you would have turned around and run to me. I don't have to.
Let me tell you how it would have gone.
I
Let me tell you how it would have gone.
And you come to me.
Let me tell you how it goes. You know when man used to pull you and used to carry on talking with your friend like that and carry on talking and you get blank and it took you about 3 minutes to understand. No, that's what would happen to you.
Right.
Okay.
Quickly now. We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. But Curtis, favorite Lovers Rock record of all time?
6th Street, I think.
You think?
What do you mean? Yeah. You think? Louisa Marks.
Yeah.
You think?
Louisa Marks. I love Lovers Rock. To find a definitive one is hard, but that's the one that came to mind straight away. You put me on the spot. I've answered the question. It wasn't the one you wanted to hear? Then don't pose the question.
It's the think part. It's the
don't
think
be
part.
upset, Curtis. Do not speak to Donna like that.
You just throw the question out. I answer it. You think.
Yeah, but don't speak to her.
Okay, I got you.
All right?
I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to Eddie Nesta. And I love Janet Kay. What I'd like to hear more is Janet Kay's Silly Games. How's that? That's the one I want to hear. I haven't heard that for a while.
Song. I love Janet Kay and I love that song, but
what's your favorite one, Donna?
Is it called Gotta Find a Way Somehow? Nothing's gonna stop me now.
That's Louisa Marks as well.
Find a way. All right, let me go. We fall because of our charm. Together we should be.
Goodbye,
Curtis. My love. Goodbye, my love. I'm on my way.
And not come. But I was surprised neither of you went for Kung Fu fighting.
Hello. Listen. Where did that come from?
I tell you what, I gotta be honest though.
And people doing this. They
do that. They do that.
It looked fun.
In a family party or a shubbing, maybe, but not in a Lovers Rock. Don't call it Lovers Rock.
But
they didn't show Lovers Rock in a Lovers Rock.
There was no such thing. Let me just correct both of you. There was no such thing as a Lovers Rock party. There was a Lovers Rock section.
Yes.
But they never said that.
Soul, it would be this,
but if that was a Lovers Rock section, it didn't touch
and all the hungry, grabalicious men that you're talking about used to cuss the DJs because they're taking long to get to the Lovers.
Yeah, and then once they get a little rub, man is stopping the record.
No, but can I say
and chatting rubbish.
Can I say something? There's two things, right? Where was the red velvet wallpaper? And where, you know, DJs, they would go home, freshen up. That same fat DJ, right? Him sit down at the whole day and he's clothes.
Big
not
boned.
real.
I don't think you could say fat. Big boned.
There were no people of dual heritage or white people there either, which was quite
well, that was realistic.
To some extent, but there were parties.
It's just like you're such a muppet, right? Look, I give you.
That's the only realistic bit.
Even though you're gone,
you're
6th Street, and I give you the greatest Lovers Rock record of all time.
All right,
Gina the Bambo, Paradise.
Arguably, I'm still gonna go 6th Street.
In your
no, that's not it.
I love you. Which one are you talking about?
You sing it, Eddie.
No, I've got done a second. Right, let's move on. Right. So look, I wanna do a clear. Now, Lisa's singing there. Stop.
Go on, Lisa.
I want to do a clear line to my next guest because my next guest is probably looking at this show going, what have I let myself in? Looking at these guys. But I had to start with this because it was a thing on everybody's head. And we'll come back with people's Lovers Rock songs in a little while. Is that all right? But let me just let me show you a little bit about how this next guest was lauded on the television.
This person has been described as one of the best surgeons in the country by the person who nominated her. Through their skill and dedication, they've enhanced the lives of so many of their patients by freeing them from crippling pain. The winner of the Healthcare Award is Suhair El-Nil.
she does is she gives them a second chance of building their lives with their family. To see the transformation, it makes you believe that she is a miracle worker. I've worked with her for 16 years. I feel very proud to be working with her. I have great satisfaction in going home because of what she does for the patients.
Beautiful.
She's a consultant urogynecologist, uroneurologist at the University College London and a National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery. Welcome to her hashtag lockdown, no joke. So here we call her Susie L. Neal.
Lovely to join you.
Thank you.
Real pleasure. Nice to meet you all. Hi. Hi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Very good, Eddie.
It is our absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
It's a show that we came up with, and you can hear, because I know you've been listening, talking about some of the things that we look at, we see, we feel that perhaps we don't hear represented. Certainly fibroids is one of those. I'm understanding that the majority of women, particularly over 50, have them. I'm understanding that they are disproportionately impacting the lives of Black women. And it is a joy and a pleasure to have you on here with us to maybe give a little guidance and help to our sisters and our queens. Yes? So thank you.
Thank you.
So first of all, we'll start with the simple stuff. And I don't want to make you big and all of us small, because you're the most important thing in all of this. So we want to see you. We want to hear you. So what are fibroids, doctor?
So fibroids are basically what we would term benign tumors. In other words, they're not malignant, they're not nasty, but they are swellings of the muscle, often found within the muscle of the womb. And they can be quite large and occupy the entire space. They can also exist attached to the womb, usually with a little stalk, or sometimes inside the cavity of the womb. So they can actually affect the lining of the womb and so on. So there is quite its position, though, is all related to the womb specifically and anything associated with it. But basically, they are benign tumors that affect the womb.
Well, they may be benign and, not cancerous, but they're hugely debilitating, aren't they?
Yeah, they have a massive impact on quality of life. Often you don't really know you have them, although women from a Black heritage tend to have a propensity to have them more than other women, but they can impact on everything from women's periods to their fertility, to even, because of the size being so big, can impact on their bladder, their bowel, and everything in the pelvis. They can be very overwhelming and very debilitating if they're not looked after or indeed surgically or medically treated.
In terms of fibroids, I get the feeling that because it is where it is and it affects who it affects, it's one of those things that we have as a taboo. And when you have taboos where people don't talk about things, it allows mistreatment, misunderstanding, and huge discomfort. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think women's health issues as a whole are really a taboo subject. So if you speak to women about fibroids or speak to them about incontinence or things like prolapse, all these issues, and FGM, I come from an FGM practicing community, all these issues are social taboo subjects. As a whole, women don't often talk about issues that affect them. They're known as women troubles or women's bits and so on. So there is a tendency to deflect it. But yeah, the impact is, it really, unless you start the conversation and have a dialogue, you're not going to change practice, focus, culture, etc.
Okay, so Donna, thank you very much for saying that you would talk about your own personal experience.
Sure.
I respect and appreciate that. Just tell us a little bit about what happened to you.
So around about 2007, I started to notice I had a really big stomach, and I was thinking, where is this coming from? I didn't have any pain, and I didn't realize that my monthlies were heavier, but I was just still carrying on. I was on stage, obviously, a lot of the time, but I couldn't understand what was going on. And then I remember one day I was on my way to, I think, Shepherd's Bush, and I was getting off the bus, and there was a pool of blood. To me, it seemed like a whole lot of pool of blood, but it wasn't, but it just seemed that way. I was just scared. I got off the bus and I phoned my doctor straight away. And she said, well, I was in my late 30s then. She said, you are 39, 40. It could be fibroids. I came in for a test. And then obviously they told me I had fibroids. But, well, I was told this thing. We're always told this thing that they're really small. You don't need to worry. And that is where I always get upset, because they're very small, grows very quickly. And then after that, I then had to wait. Maybe I was in denial, I think, really. I then went to try and lose weight, lost the weight, but the stomach was still there. And then I took it seriously. And there were just so many things. Like, I went to the doctor, and one of the male doctors, I went to the hospital. And he didn't even look at me, because male doctors are completely different to female ones. He didn't look at me. His head was down, and he just went, yeah, could be a myectomy, could lead to a hysterectomy. And I said, quite cheekily, I said something really cheeky. I said, take out your wife's. And then he looked up at me.
Okay. So thank you, Donna. I appreciate that. Before we get a response, Doctor, from that, I want to also play a lady called Chantel, who sent in a little video, which I think speaks to a lot of what Donna's just said. So let's have a listen to what Chantel said.
What I take out of this whole experience, not just the mental, also the physical kind of drainage out of it, is the fact that I wish that I acted on it a lot sooner. You know your body, and you know when something isn't get quite right. You need to go and check it out. So my message to everybody is, don't sit on things that you know is just not quite right in your body. You know you, and just don't sit on it. Have a bit of faith, take that step and put your mind at rest, because basically if I went to my GP a lot sooner, got this diagnosed, and maybe I wouldn't have had fibroids as big as they were. They might have been a lot smaller to operate on. And don't sit on it. Don't sit on it. Please don't.
So, Doctor, a lot to unpack there, but certainly with Chantel, you get the feeling that there's a lot more than she said there. It isn't easy to challenge a doctor. I don't feel right as a woman. I'm going with a bit of my body that is intensely personal to me, and I'm being told X or Y. Can you give us any help or guidance as to what we should do or say there?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the problems is, you're absolutely right, there's a huge anxiety when you go into any medical or clinical facility, even your GP, to talk about this, because of the time issues, and also you feel you're being a nuisance. And do remember, a lot of women grow up being told that this is all normal. Heavy periods, normal. Chronic pain, normal. You can't go to school, well, that's you being difficult, but you know what, you can take some paracetamol and go to school. So a lot of little girls and women grow up with feeling they're always a nuisance about their health concerns. So that's the first obstacle. There's a self obstacle you have to overcome. So the easiest thing I say to people, write it all down. Don't you go in there empowered with your story, your information, have it written down, so that when you go in, you don't forget parts which are really critically important to you. So one of the areas I also work in is chronic pain, generally in women, because that is very poorly looked after for women. And often I'll say to them, don't forget, what is it that is causing the issue for you, and make sure you note it down. Once you've got it all written down, when you go in, if anybody's sort of making you feel quite awful or not helping you through it, say, look, you know, I'm here. This is a matter that's affecting my life. If you don't have enough time for me today, let me know, because then I need another appointment. And actually that makes a lot of people sit up.
Brilliant.
Because they start to think, oh, okay, I'm obviously not communicating things properly.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the first step. And then just do your homework. Don't be complacent. I know we say it all the time about many things, but just read a little bit more. And the NHS websites have got a lot of information on them. They're not always perfect, but they're useful and they can give you guidance. So you can go in and say, I want to know, is this going to be helpful for me? Is this going to affect my fertility, my future, etc.? And that's one of the issues. And I just heard what Donna said. That story I've heard so many times, the dismissiveness of coming in and being told, well, you have this operation or that operation, out you go, I'm done, you know. And you have to make the point that you're not done and you're here to discuss it with an expert. And what I've suggested to some women is, if you feel one expert has not listened to you, say, I'd like to see another. Never go with one opinion. If you're not happy, it makes no sense to you, go for a second, go for a third, go for a fourth, but go and get all the opinions you need. Never go with the so-called plan A. There are many other possible plans available.
And many of the suggestions mean an end to fertility, actually. Let's just get, because I need to get as many questions or points or suggestions as possible. I want to say thank you again, Susie, for doing this for us. If I get the boss lady on now. Boss lady, what sorts of questions are coming in?
Hi.
Marilyn says, what causes fibroids and how can we prevent them from developing?
So that's a really interesting and important question, because actually to date, nobody knows what causes fibroids. And if you read your textbooks at medical school, they'll say to you, a fibroid is a tombstone of an unhappy womb. So they because women started delaying childbirth to years later, just the way society developed. So there was that concept put into women. There is a relationship with some of the female hormones, in particular progesterone. So there is a belief that people who have different progesterone levels or impact of progesterone on their body can have an impact on fibroids. But actually, nobody knows why they happen. They happen.
Great. Another question. Someone recently had a miscarriage and was told by the nurse it was due to fibroids in the uterus muscle. She spoke to someone from the Caribbean who said there's medication that can be taken to reduce the fibroids. Are there any medications available in the UK?
So miscarriages are common in women. 1 in 4 pregnancies will end in a miscarriage. So that's the first thing. The fibroids within the muscle of the womb are not usually associated with miscarriage. More commonly, you'll get miscarriage if the fibroid's encroaching into the cavity of the womb. So it's disturbing the lining and the level of implantation. So it's quite important to get a very detailed ultrasound scan with a specialist to work out exactly where your fibroids are and if they're impacting on the cavity. With regards to the medication, there's a large number of medications that are available, but they're mainly hormonally dependent medications. So if you take them, often, if you can take them for a period of time where the fibroid could shrink or reduce in size, etc., they're useful. But often if you're trying to get pregnant, they're actually countering your ability to get pregnant. So you have to know, you have to speak to an expert who's also a fertility expert as well as a fibroid expert, and combine those two together. Again, do your homework. Not everything that is stated and said is actually helpful.
Okay, so in case you just tuned in, let me just say thank you very much for joining us. This is #NoJoke. This is the last of our lockdown series. Donna Spence, Curtis Walker, the boss lady, and Susie L. Neal, who is literally one of the world's most foremost practitioners in terms of women's issues. We haven't even touched on FGM or the mesh, which I want to talk to. It's really, really busy. Boss lady, I want one more of the comments that have come in today, please. And then I would really like, because I did ask people if they had things that were more personal, Doctor, if they could send them to me privately. And I really want to get those out. So, boss lady, can we do one more of the questions that have come in today, please?
Okay, 2. What are the symptoms and can they prevent you from having children?
So the symptoms are many. Sometimes no symptoms at all. Sometimes it's pain. Typically, it's heavy periods. And many women will tell you they just pass clots and blood everywhere. And yes, they can prevent you from having children, depending on their location, their size, and so on. But none of this is insurmountable, and there are many ways to treat them and actually individualize the treatment for yourself so that you can have children.
Okay, so honestly, I'll try to get. I can see how many comments are coming in today, and I would try to get to a couple of those. But we're time sensitive, and I ask people to send them into the inbox. So for me to ignore those would be disrespectful, and I don't want to do that. Not on an issue. Usually, I don't mind, Doctor. Usually, I don't care about. Usually, I make it a bit of an art, but not on this subject. So, boss lady, can you read? I think we had 3 or 4, didn't we? So can we read those, please, and get
the ones that we previously had?
Yes, please.
Okay. I think I've already asked you one, but I was diagnosed in October by a doctor, and it was convinced it was cancer. Awful experience. I would like to know, having previously had a stroke and taken aspirin, what are my treatment options? Because it appears they are limited.
So it depends on, again, coming back to where are they, how big are they, what impact they're having directly. So you would treat them symptomatically. If it's heavy bleeding, there's a track you can use. If it's pressure problems, there's another track you can use, and so on. So some would involve medication, some would involve surgery. If you're on aspirin, then there's a higher risk of your bleeding becoming much more of a problem, particularly if you're still having periods. So you need to then look at alternative therapies and treatments to work with that. There are lots of ways to get around it, and it's not always down one street. The options are there. They're not always discussed. So that's where I come back to first, second, third, fourth opinion. Get those opinions and get them from experts in the domain that's causing you the symptom as well as the fibroids. So if you have pain, speak to a pain expert. So if you have problems with bleeding and strokes and so on, speak to a neurologist who looks after your stroke and get information about alternative therapies that would not have an impact on your fibroids and so on.
So may I just say, I mean, you're making huge decisions quite often about the everlasting impact on your body. Please be sure that you're making the right one before anything is done. That's what. Can we have another one, please, boss lady?
Yes, I mean this question's dear to me because, as many of you know, I try to be into healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, training, plant-based. This woman has fibroids, and due to COVID, her operation was rescheduled, and she wants to know if there's any foods she should be eating, and how to overcome the constant tiredness and lower back pain. And that also links into another question that somebody was saying, are there any natural remedies to fibroids?
So if
do you deal with prevention as well as cure then, doctor?
So we don't generally, by the time we see them, we've gone into the cure rate rather than the prevention. But the approach is multifaceted, and so dietary. So weight loss we know helps. So that's what Donna did. You know, trying to lose weight actually makes a big difference and gets your hormones more in balance. The key is your hormones. If you can get your progesterone, estrogen levels in the right place, and you can do that through dietary control as well, but it's never as good as actually doing the weight thing and making sure that's spot on. Make sure you don't have any problems with your thyroid. We know women with a low thyroid hormone have worse bleeding. So check on that as well. So you can start looking at all the foods that go with estrogen, progesterone, and thyroid. And yes, some people find them helpful. Not everybody does. Coming to the question of the back problem and causing the pain and so on, again, weight loss, exercise, physiotherapy, back strengthening exercises. A lot of us sit in chairs for a long time doing all sorts of things day in, day out. If you do not learn to strengthen your erector muscles of the spine and actually strengthen them so that you sit better, you walk better, you stand better, actually simple interventions like that or make a big difference to the impact of the fibroid in the pelvis. So I think it's a question of listen to your body, take the action that would work for you and work through it and get advice appropriately as and when.
We got any
Can
more?
I just ask-
another
can I
one.
just ask you
One second, Lee. Sorry, Curtis.
Is there an age range with fibroids? Is there an age
Sorry to interrupt you, Curtis, but that was my next question. What happens to fibroids once you reach your menopause?
So most women are badly affected by their fibroids, I'd say reproductive years. So between roughly 18 up till about your early 50s. However, there is a belief that once you go into the menopause, your fibroids shrink and you're okay. That's not always the case. That's not always the case. So a lot of the time, the fibroids might reduce in size. One, you look at all the studies, it's roughly by a third. So if you've got a massive 9 centimeter fibroid and it shrinks to 6, it's still going to be giving you similar problems in a sense. So yes, it can reduce. The important thing is, again, looking at your symptom and focusing on your symptom and working within that range of therapies that are available, whatever the treatments are. And my belief is you don't have to be on a tablet. You should use multiple approaches. And I think that's what works for most women.
Yeah.
Okay, my last question is Patricia says, how do fibroids differ from endometriosis?
So fibroids are very much a tumor, so it's a solid piece of muscle. Endometriosis, the easiest way to describe it, it's like the lining of the womb, instead of staying within the womb, has somehow escaped and is elsewhere in the body. So it's lying on top of the womb, it's lying around the ovaries, the bladder, the bowel. Now, every time you have a period and you bleed, that same tissue does exactly the same thing. And the problem is, because it's in an abnormal position, it causes pain and discomfort and eventually scarring and other issues in those places. So if it's on top of the ovary, your ovaries will hurt. If it's on top of your bowel will hurt, etc., etc. So it is actually it's a bit like you've taken something and just thrown it throughout the pelvis, so everything becomes covered in it. You've like painted it with endometriosis. So it's quite a different disease condition.
Boss lady, I can see how many messages are coming in. Thank you very much, boss lady. And I am so sorry to the messages we can't get to at the moment, but it's my dream along with the team to be able to keep it going, and if we can, then maybe Susie will come back and talk to us. Susie,
lovely.
I want to talk to you. You've talked just a few things from my perspective, if you don't mind. You've talked a lot today about the physical impact. Certainly with Chantel and with some of the women who have trusted me enough to talk to me about this. What we haven't talked about is the mental trauma, meeting somebody, not knowing whether you can be friendly, what to wear, where to go, how you look, who you can tell. Might we talk a little bit about that, please?
Sure. I think that is something that is prevalent throughout medicine. I think one of the biggest problem is when you put yourself and you are the patient, your anxiety, first of all, to even talk about any subject matter that affects your health is a worry. you're dependent on your GP, and most GPs are very good and they can give you guidance, and they refer you to their local sources. So the local hospital down the road, who, if they can't deal, they'll send you somewhere else. The emotional trauma, I think, having looked after a lot of women with rather complex problems, is the one thing that comes across time and time and time again is the emotional trauma, the psychological long-term trauma, which people tend to underplay, which can take years to get over, and the dismissiveness of some of us in the profession. So one of and I think a lot of women, if you speak to them, the story is not that different. It's very similar. So hence why I said go in armed with your tools, which is what you've written. Don't wait. You are in the driving seat. You drive the conversation. And if it doesn't sound right, move on. But the important thing from the psychological aspect is you will be heard. It might take a bit of time, but you will be heard. And you need to keep on pushing on that door. Don't give up. And if it matters it to you, don't stop. Don't stop. It's sometimes you feel you need to give up. And I think, I mean, the program you showed earlier about the award was mainly that. It was listening to the women and then trying to develop a way to help the women. And that's me, but there are others who are there that can do the same thing. So just keep knocking at that door. Don't let it go. So,
Doctor, I phoned you up. We have a mutual friend, I think now we can say. Is the my greatest invention product at the BBC. She's magnificent. And we have a friend. Inshallah, we'll do this again. I want to say to you, though, it is fantastic what you're doing. Everything I've read about you tells me about the kind of it's not just about being a doctor, it's about being a human being. It's about listening. It's about having, emotional intelligence, empathy. There are so many. I can tell you from my inbox. I can tell you from the conversations that I've been having with my wife, with Donna, other friends, that this impacts on so many women's lives. You know, I have a particular interest in FGM, which we haven't got to. You know, I have a particular interest in the mesh, being put in and then being taken out. So might I ask you one day, if we haven't been too, I don't know, horrible to you, would you come back?
Of course I would, Eddie. It would be my privilege and honor to do so. Thank you. Of course I would.
Thank you. Lovely. And thank you so much for your time today.
Not at all. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's so important, Eddie. Sorry, I know I just interrupted, but if we really realize the foods and what we eat, do you remember Dutch pot? Remember the old-fashioned Dutch pot, Eddie? That has iron in it. That's proper iron. All of those had minerals in it. When you cook your food, it gives you minerals. Now we're having aluminium. There's so many things. And she was spot on. And it was so nice to hear a GP who actually cares, because we don't have it anymore. And she's right. I went 4 or 5 opinions and I got what I wanted. I had to go to a different hospital in Kent and got a doctor that I needed who understood. And can I also say, you're better off with an older doctor than a younger doctor. And that came from an older doctor that told me, because younger doctors are about pharmaceutical. They're about moving their way up the ladder. The older ones have gone through that experience. So they're more understanding and they know what you want.
Okay.
And
I mean, I want to say that. No, I just want to say thank you to you.
Man,
don't worry. Listen, we're talking about helping people. That's the whole point of the podcast, is to come on. As I say, I'm honest. I'm as honest as I can be. First people is helping is me and Curtis. And if we can help other people, then we should. Let me get the boss lady back on. You'll know from the boss lady's kitchen that she believes in healthy eating. As I say, she's in day three of a 5-day diet, working. I'm about to try although I'm not eating any of that food. Miss Lady, the boss lady said she would leave me if I didn't lose weight. And the first thing I did was draw for some food. But I think in order to just spite her, I'm gonna do it. Just to spite her. you believe in healthy eating. It's your mantra, good living, don't you, boss lady?
Yeah, well, I mean, healthy eating
I
helps
agree.
loads of different issues. I
Me
mean,
too.
you feel better, you know, you
Totally.
get up, you sleep
Yeah.
better. So it
Yeah.
must help for fibroids and any other illnesses.
Totally.
I mean,
Totally.
I feel good when I'm eating healthy. When I'm
Yeah.
not, I feel sluggish. I don't
Yeah.
sleep as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doing my 5-day water fast. I was
Yeah.
replacing the nuts with donuts,
Yeah.
the you know, drinking prosecco. You know, I think on lockdown, because you got nothing to look forward to, mentally it does affect you. You kind of don't realize that you start eating for comfort. And that's what I'm doing, and that's why I'm doing my 5-day
You
detox. I'm
go,
really
girl.
tired. I don't know how I've been able to do this show.
Okay.
I've got 2 more days to go.
All right,
I'm
Eddie,
trying
cut
to
her
get
off now.
Eddie
I
on
mean,
one, even if it's
All
a
right,
juice
all right,
bar.
all right. That's enough
But
now.
you
I don't want to
know,
hear any
You're
more of that.
right. No, but you're absolutely right because
Can I just show you? I just show you what Miss Lady came to give me to eat this week, right?
good.
What
In Fiesta, don't worry about it.
one of the things.
What is it, a remix?
Listen, vegetarians want to make everything vegetarian, right? Can you put it up, please?
Vegan. Oh Lord, no. No, Lisa, no.
No,
I know it's a lie. I know it's a lie.
no,
I know
no, it's a lie. If
I know it's a lie.
Eddie,
I know it's a lie. You know
Vegan
what you know? It's a lie. Like, it's a lie. It's what he's
Vegan
dreaming of.
oxtail.
Don't follow it.
Boss lady.
It's
what
rubbish.
Is vegan oxtail? Is that cauliflower?
You know what?
Cauliflower gives you wings.
Based. I've seen that before. It's some soy-based thing they try to make into meat.
Foolishness.
It's rubbish. It's
That
rubbish.
man don't take foolishness.
Apparently, I don't know, but you have to be careful with soya and fibroids. There's a
It's
link.
the worst thing ever.
So
Absolute worst thing, Lisa. Soya, PCBs, xenoestrogens. Look, we love bleach. Nobody loves bleach like black people. It's the worst thing you can do. The amount of chemicals in it, I could go on forever.
Are you a Dettol? Are you one of them?
No.
Are you douching? Are you got the Dettol in the water, in your bath water?
Do you know what? That's one of the worst
I'm not
things.
the police. Do you put Dettol in the bath?
No, absolutely not.
That's what our
Dettol is one of the worst things. Exactly. It's one of the worst
Not for
things
the
you can
first
do.
time. I'm a bit confused. What is the bleach? So you don't use bleach around the house?
You don't need to use bleach. You can use baking soda. You can use lemon juice. You know, it's one of the worst things you can do, and it actually makes us more ill because the chemicals that are in it, it's actually triggering.
Makes the place clean though.
Bleach.
No, I use bicarbonate of soda and vinegar.
There you go. There you go.
Can we move on with the show there, please?
But remember, you not struggle with mice.
Lisa,
Remember, you not got mice.
Let them go. Let us talk.
No, we haven't got any mice.
Curtis, that's a low blow, and I
What did Curtis
absolutely
say?
love it. He said we got mites because we don't clean our house. That's what he said. Right. So can I have the Lovers Rock? What are the Lovers Rock songs that people say?
Sorry, I've just got a few on fibroids. Yvonne says it stopped her from living a normal life, especially if you suffer from heavy bleeding, not to mention the pain. In my 50s, and I'm only hearing detailed information today. Thank you. Pauline avoids going to places because of her fibroids. Amanda says surgeons are often very quick to offer hysterectomies to black women as a solution. Ebony said I had fibroids removed when I was via hysterectomy when I was 35. They were grapefruit size. Maureen says as well as physically draining, it's also emotionally draining, causing shame, embarrassment, and depression.
Yeah. I mean, I must
Eddie,
say,
I just want to say, if I might, well done to you and the boss lady for getting this subject on because I'm learning today. And I've got friends who suffered with fibroids, so it's still a learning curve because I never realized how much of that is a mental issue and all of those thoughts that you have to go through in order to be in a relationship with somebody or even just to leave your house. Well done, well done. And that lady who said she's hearing about it for the first time today in regards of somebody helping her, offering advice, tells you that if you've got daughters in your life or nieces and cousins, get a conversation started in your home, man, because it's obviously something nobody discusses. It's like you said at the beginning, it's taboo. It's important to keep communication going, man. Because that woman there said this is the first time she's hearing an open conversation about it. It's quite scary, but applaud you guys, man. Well done.
It really is like that.
I'm going to say, I mean, we're already over time, and I don't mind that today, because I think today was a show that, you know,
Yeah.
I think, you know, we've helped people and we've helped ourselves greater understand, and men too, because as you say, Curtis, if you're in a relationship with somebody who's got fibroids, you just go, well, I want my things or whatever it might be, and you're not really understanding what that can do to somebody's soul. And I'm praying to God that, you know, we can go some way to doing that. So stay on, boss lady, because we've got to wrap up now. I can see that. Yeah. No, I'm gonna get those. I definitely would like us to come back. I definitely would like us to do stuff. We made up some stuff in case people want to buy it, just in case there's an idea. There's a hoodie that people can buy. There's a face mask that people can buy. I think that we can see that now. That's a face mask you can get. There's a hoodie that you can get. So look, the bottom line is, and you know, this is where I feel as uncomfortable about this as I do compliments. You know that, but in order,
why?
Well, because it's
You're
the way I
doing a
am.
great job.
Donna, it's the way I am.
Whatever.
So I don't like asking people for money. I don't like it. I've never liked it. But in order for this to continue, in order for us to do it, if you like it, I feel like one of them people on the tube. You've been on the tube lately, where they come forward. I used to fight in the army, and I just want to say, I was like, oh God, gee, none of you can even look at me. It's horrible. Every day I get that. That's how I feel right now. But look, there are different ways that people can do it, right? I've got to tell you, I have been surprised. People have contacted businesses to sponsor. Thank you. There is a GoFundMe page which continues, started by Robbie G, my brother. Thank you. Also, you can buy yourself a hoodie or a mask, so we can keep it going for at least another 6 weeks. It gets harder to find different people. I must say, I'm very glad Angela Marr, who couldn't be with us for these 4, has just done her thing. Well done. Empowering women. You must follow her. You must listen to what she's doing. Paul Lawrence, who's on after us, is dealing with an equally difficult subject, which is to do with a taboo about, you know, how perhaps interference with each other never gets talked about, and that you must listen to him. Paul is on at 2:00 today. Lewis is on at 4. You might catch Ray in the morning on Ray, Fifth Avenue. There are people doing brilliant things. 6 to 9. You get Tyrone and the Spot.
It's on the same channel. Is it on the same channel?
All on Facebook. It's all on Facebook.
Oh, I thought it was on your channel.
So if you and also the king of the lockdown, Lethan, is on tonight. So, you know, I think if one of us eats, all of us can eat. I don't believe that we're taking away. And if you divide your blessings, those blessings will multiply. But if you would like to support us, there are so many other subjects. You heard me talk about vaginal mesh. You heard, you know, talking to people about endometriosis. It's another big one. Polycystic ovary, such a big one. There are lots and lots of subjects that we could do, that I'd like to do. If you help us, the mental health, I think, Curtis, we probably need to go back to that, because, you know, it's a very big one.
You definitely do. And I'll join you on that journey. You caught me now. I'm just wrapping up my Christmas presents for the family. I'm just starting to wrap them now.
Prayer is needed.
I don't want to ruin the surprise, but you know who you are. I'm just wrapping them now.
So listen, I really am sorry. If you tune into my drive time show, then you will hear us talk about that deportation flight. It was on the schedule for today, but please forgive me. I had to stick with fibroids because it was so many messages that we didn't get to. Okay, so that flight is going back. I'll put it up on my page if anybody wants to look. Then you can sign it and say what you feel about it. People being sent back, separated from their families to a place that many of them have never been. Also, the lockdown. We're coming out of lockdown into tier 2, and you know, we were supposed to talk about, is it worth this 5 days of Christmas to kill your granny or whatever? You know what I mean? Scientifically, I struggle with it, but
it doesn't make any sense. That's why you're struggling.
Shut up. You haven't even complimented me on my sexy shirt. We can't move together, Curtis. You're supposed to say, brother man,
you've got nothing good to say nothing. If you've got
Alright.
nothing good to say, say that.
Alright, no.
Your shirt looks lovely, Eddie.
And that's because she needs to say that to you.
No,
How much money does she want? Has he got the flares on too?
Have you got
you don't want to see under there, baby. We're not filming down there today. Right, so boss lady, come on, let's end with some fun then. What did people say? And Donna's going to try to sing all of them.
Yes.
We want to know boss lady's song first. Your favourite Lovers Rock, boss lady. Your favourite Lovers Rock from the era of Lovers Rock, please.
6th Street by Louisa Marks.
Yeah, but that's already been said.
Doesn't matter. It's her favourite.
What are you doing?
And she's got a good brain. She knows, man.
No, because when you play that record, you have to find a corner and you have to go with
That's
me.
right, Lee. Remember.
You have to find a corner.
Are you mean? You have to go in the corner and go, it's all right.
Edit.
The first time, I remember the first time I went to a party in country, right, outside London. Them people, they dance fast. They dance like how I saw it on telly last week. Oh, by the way, boss lady, go do your bit because I've got some things to advertise. I've got some advertisements.
Okay. Jennifer says, turn out the lights, investigators.
Turn out the lights. Tune. Yeah.
He's not going to sing every one of them because we'll never get through them.
No.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Louisa Mars, Keep It Like It Is.
Big tune.
Keep it like it is. Oh, tune. Yeah, go on.
Black is the colour of my skin.
My sister. Black is my color. Yeah. There be no
Princes and Thieves.
What's that?
Princes and Thieves. Thieves. Do you know that one, Eddie?
Police
and Thieves.
That should be
Police and
Thieves.
I like the way everybody just went.
That was by Bridget York.
No.
I'm
There is no song called Police, and that's not strictly speaking Lovers Rock either.
No, but you still, it was the dance before, after you go pull them to dance. You can get where.
Okay, Angela says Investigators by Mike Gordon.
Yeah, what song?
Which one?
Winston says, Am I the Same Girl?
Oh yeah, that's a big tune.
Am I the same girl?
Right, let's.
It says Make Up to Break Up. Every Little Bit of My Heart. Yeah, Sylvie says Police and Thieves.
Yeah.
Caught You in a Lie.
Yeah, a lot of Louisa
here.
A lot
of Louisa.
A lot of Louisa.
Lot, man, because that was
I must say, when I was going to Lovers Rock Party, Louisa Marks was the one.
Yeah.
The most
She's the
common
first
music.
recognised. You know, when you look back at the history, and there are lots of different histories, but you know, she was the one as a 14-year-old who was singing on the sound system. So she was the first, dearly departed.
And Lionel says Paradise, Jean Adibambo. That's your one, Eddie.
You know the one that I
Sing it,
forgot
Eddie,
now.
look, we're here. Sing it, Eddie.
Go on, Eddie. Go on. You know the one I forgot? Do you not remember 15, 16, and 17? Black skin boys.
Sounds
yes.
Black skin
Can
boys.
I ask you the boss lady? Curtis told me that when he used to dance with girls, they always used to talk to him. Is that what you used to do when you never really want to dance with a guy?
Yes.
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 Yeah. Oh, you're nice. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I used to hate when the DJ would wheel and come again. You're like, no, Prince. No, do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Sitting in the park.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Sitting in the park. Yep.
Yes.
Natural Woman.
Yeah, that's.
Come on,
that's
Curtis,
proper.
sing it, man.
That's
Natural
proper.
Woman. Come on, Curtis, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to get involved. I'm still shocked what Eddie just said. He got me, man. He got me.
Listen, guys. Thank you. I mean, I think we had to release it there, as the actress said to the bishop. That's a pretty gone from stupid to really intense and to stupid again.
You know what you're doing. You're smart. It's
kind of our life, really. Donna, thank you very much for coming back. I appreciate it, and I hope that sometime within the next few that you will definitely come back.
I would love to.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Donna, for coming on. Yeah. Angie Greaves has agreed to come on next week. Remember Angie Greaves from Choice FM? So we'll have Angie Greaves on next week. And we'll also have some fitness, talking about losing weight. Faye's going to come on, Faye Edwards, who's a fitness guru. So we'll certainly do about that. If there are subjects you'd like us to do in the next 6-week run, if there is a way that you like us to do, then please tell me. Curtis, I hope that you're going to be here with well, far as I know, you ain't got nothing else to do.
Nothing doing, Ed. Nothing doing.
So we're going to be together for Christmas.
Well, I'm doing a Christmas no joke from my dinner table. Love you to join me.
Yes. Only 3 families though. But I like to say bye-bye to Boss Lady before. You can follow Boss Lady's journey on Instagram. Water 5 days in. You should really be documenting it. So I'm Coffee. Curtis is Jack
I'm
Daniels.
on Instagram.
I put it on Instagram, so if anybody wants to follow Lisa.Nesta, hey.
Bye.
So what's the address again, Liz?
Bye-bye.
Lisa.Nesta on Instagram.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Curtis.
Oh, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'll drink some water.
Bye-bye.
Hot water. So when she feels really hungry, she goes and has hot water.
So do you sit there eating in front of her?
You know what he's still got me doing?
I thought you went.
No. Cooking and sharing his dinner while I'm on a fast. That's,
all right.
You know, come on.
Respect, Eddie. Respect.
Bye-bye.
Now get in the kitchen and no, go out, Eddie. I like how you do your thing. I have to smell it, season it, and she can eat it. Nice.
Did you not see the chicken she did for me earlier on in the thing? Anyway,
no, that wasn't me. Come on.
Why you keep coming back?
I don't do that. Why?
It's going to be a long day, Kerr. God bless you, my brother. Thank you very much.
Well done today. Fantastic show. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, look after the family. God bless you, my brother.
I will.
Okay, so thank you. Oops. Thank you very much, everybody. I just want to tell you, so we got some work to do. I've got just I want to talk to this young man here, scheduled to come on. Look, can you see it? And that's those of you who have been around a while will know. Jeez, it's all falling apart. Will know that caused a riot, literally. But what was it like? I'm trying to get Afua on, but she's not answering my calls at the minute. But she doesn't know how annoying I can be. I'm trying to get Akala on. He knows how annoying I can be. So now he gets his wife to answer the phone. So I'll get on to that. This is on telly tonight, which is John Boyega's playing Leroy Logan in I think you should give it a go. I don't think you should give up on Small Axe. I don't think there's enough things with us lot for you to give up on it. And I think that, you know, Steve deserves, it's a very, I've seen it. And I think you'll be fascinated by it, although the police might not be. And there's this man here. We're trying to work on this as well. So I've got a lot of reading to do. I've got to go and fix up, have some hot water, get ready for the diet that begins, try and have a 6-pack by the time we go to Fuerteventura, if we're allowed in May of 2021. Please, as I say, look, you know, GoFundMe is there, the mask is there, the hat is there, or look, you know, I would love to be back. So let's see. Yeah. But fingers crossed, God spare our lives, as my mum would say. We'll be back here midday next week. Thank you to Sharon, Media Mafia, all the executive producers. Thank you to Curtis, to Donna, to Susie. And most of all, thank you very much, and happy anniversary to Boss Lady. Thank you very much. And next week, 12 o'clock, fingers crossed, we'll be back. Lockdown, no joke.